Did you know there are exactly 899 minions in the world? That means there's potentially one lost minion out there somewhere. But this is just the tip of the iceberg when you start to notice the hidden connections between the minions and Tweety. Tweety's evil twin? Remember those scary purple minions in the second movie? Their color wasn't random. Purple is the total opposite of yellow on the color wheel. It shows how they flipped from silly to scary. But here's the real twist. Their look was actually inspired by Tweety Bird. Yes, the soft-spoken bird from Looney Tunes. In one wild episode, Tweety drinks a potion and transforms into a creepy beast. That version stuck with the creators. So those purple minions were basically a nightmare version of Tweety in disguise. Second, Minions versus Disney? In Despicable Me 3, there's a blink and you miss it moment that's basically a full-on attack on Finding Nemo. Gru and Lucy are in mini-subs, and two minions are right behind. Then out of nowhere, they run over two little fish, one big, one small. The bigger one loses a fin. Sound familiar? That's Marlin and Nemo. Yep, Illumination just squashed Nemo's dad and left his fin behind like it was no big deal. It's sneaky, it's savage, and it proves the minions aren't as innocent as they act. 3. Dave outsmarted a legend? There's a wild moment where Dave zooms past a biker while riding a tiny tricycle. That's not just any biker. The suit has red, white, and blue, just like Evel Knievel, the most famous stuntman ever. The guy broke 433 bones doing dangerous jumps and still holds the record. That's not all. Dave also pulls off a giant cliff jump right after, just like Evel used to do. Look closely and you'll even spot Evel's name on the ramp. 4. Gru's killer plants exposed. In the Minions movie, when the trio enters the Villain Expo, there's a strange gardening booth, but it's not flowers and veggies. It's full of giant carnivorous plants right next to Dr. Nefario's spot. Look closely. Gru and his mom are nearby too. Now here's the creepy part. These same plants show up again in Despicable Me 2, right inside Gru's home. So yeah, he didn't just buy a plant. He took home a full villain weapon. 5. Gru gave you a fake number. There's a scene where Gru is practicing how to talk to Lucy, and he holds up a card with a phone number on it. Looks like just a random prop, right? Nope, that number was real. And back when the movie came out, if you actually called, Gru himself would answer with a recorded message. He'd tell you it was all a prank and that you fell for it. That's right, the minions weren't the only ones messing around. Gru literally trolled the entire audience. 6. Minions copied Hellboy. In Minions 2, there's a wild scene where Knuckles fights golden creatures while trying to steal a medallion. Looks cool, right? But it's not original. That whole fight is a sneaky nod to Hellboy, the Golden Army from 2008. In that movie, Hellboy battles huge golden monsters in almost the same way. The designs, the fight style, even the setting, it all lines up. So while Knuckles was showing off, he was actually borrowing moves from a red demon with horns. Yep, the Minions pulled another hidden copy-paste. 7. Minions were never original. You might think the Minions are totally unique, but their look and style came straight from two older groups. First, the Jawas from Star Wars, tiny hooded creatures with glowing eyes who speak a weird language. Then there's the Oompa Loompas from Willy Wonka, small, silly, and always moving in groups. Mix both together and you get the Minions. They didn't just pop out of nowhere. They're a blend of two classic movie creatures. So it turns out these little guys were copycats from the start. 8. Gru's deadly wake-up call. Gru's room in Minions 2 has a crazy secret. First, his alarm clock is a time bomb. Seriously, forget about snooze buttons. Gru's mom must have really had it out for him to pick this for his room. And if that wasn't enough, his dresser is a tiny safe. Looks like Gru didn't just practice villainy on the outside, he was prepping for it at home too. Good thing that bomb never went off, or we'd be missing the whole Despicable Me saga. 9. Gru's Disney jabs and hidden history. When Gru and Knuckles visit the villain bank, take a close look at Gru's scout uniform. It's totally a reference to Russell from Up. Nice little poke at Disney, right? But here's the crazy part. At the bank, Mr. Perkins is just a cashier, but over time, he works his way up to manager, as we see in the first Despicable Me. He even shows Knuckles a photo of his son. Turns out, that same photo is of Vector, his son, from the first movie. Oh, and that painting of Mr. Perkins behind him is a nod to Napoleon. 10th Gru's stink bomb, Spider-Man reference. Remember the scene where young Gru lets off a stink bomb in the cinema? It's not just a random prank. If you look closely, his bomb looks a lot like the bombs used by the Green Goblin in the 2002 Spider-Man movie. Same green color, same design. That's right, Gru's early villainous tendencies were already being linked to the web-slinger's enemies. So the next time you see that stink bomb, remember, Gru's got more in common with Spider-Man's villains than you think. 11th, Minions Jailhouse Rock Tribute. When the Minions land in prison in Despicable Me 3, they quickly become the stars. But did you catch the epic dance scene? It's not just random dancing. It's a tribute to Elvis Presley and his Jailhouse Rock music video. In that iconic video, Elvis and his crew perform a similar choreography dressed as prisoners. The Minions totally borrowed that legendary dance move to show their own prison swagger. 12th, Gru steals from Indiana Jones. When the Minions start protesting that Gru's turned too good, there's a moment where he's holding a tiny gold statue. Looks familiar, right? It's a clear nod to Indiana Jones. Specifically, the iconic scene where Indy grabs a similar gold idol. Of course, Indy returns it to the museum, but Gru steals it. Funny, right? Especially now that Disney owns both Indiana Jones and Despicable Me. 13. Gru's license plate secrets. When Lucy first meets Gru in Despicable Despicable Me 2, she zaps him and tosses him into her car. But here's the thing. If you look at her license plate, it says Top SKRT. That's not a mistake. It's a sneaky way of saying top secret. Pretty funny for a secret agent, right? But it gets better. Later, when Gru visits Fredonia to meet his twin brother Drew, they hop into Drew's car and end up stealing ice cream from a truck. The license plate of the truck says FR33PIG. Get it? Free pig. It's a perfect fit because Fredonia is full of pigs, even in the food trucks. 14. The Minion. Who invented ping pong? There's a random but funny scene in Minions where one minion plays ping pong against two others. At first, it's just a joke, but it got me thinking. This minion keeps playing the game in later movies, even against a bored partner. What if he's more than just a ping pong enthusiast? What if he invented the game? After spending centuries alone, he could have made it up to pass the time. It's a wild thought, but knowing the Minions' unpredictable nature, anything is possible. Maybe they've created even more famous things we haven't seen yet. 15th, Dr. Nefario's hidden appearances and secret references. Dr. Nefario, Gru's mumbling sidekick, actually pops up in Minions long before we meet him in Despicable Me. At the villain convention, a young guy shows off a freeze ray, and standing next to him is none other than young Nefario. This tiny moment might have sparked Gru's villainous dreams. Fast forward to Despicable Me 3, and Nefario gets frozen in a pose straight out of Star Wars, a nod to Han Solo. Even in Minions 2, there's a nod to superheroes, with lines and names inspired by Captain America and Spider-Man. 16. The mysterious red-haired girl. In Minions, The Rise of Gru, when Otto spots the pet rock, there's a girl in the background who might catch your eye. She's got short red hair, glasses, and a green dress, just standing there. If you think she looks familiar, you're right. This girl was in Despicable Me 2, in one of Gru's childhood memories. She's the one who called out that Gru touched her crush, embarrassing him in front of everyone. Now, years later, she silently makes another cameo, tying the timelines together in the sneakiest way. 17. Edith's vision of the future. In the first Despicable Me, there's a bedtime scene where Edith draws two minions being sucked up by a UFO. At first, it seems like just a funny sketch, but fast forward to Minions, The Rise of Gru, and exactly what she drew comes true. Two minions get pulled into a spaceship. It's like Edith predicted the future in crayon. And here's a hidden gem. One minion wears a glove with a G on it. That same G shows up everywhere, like on Gru's logo, gadgets, and even trash cans. 18. The secret behind the Bank of Evil. In the first Despicable Me, when Gru heads to the Bank of Evil, it seems like just another villainous building. But if you look closely, there's a hidden detail beneath the sign. It says, formerly Lehman Brothers. This small line is a clever nod to the real-life collapse of the Lehman Brothers Bank during the 2008 financial crisis, which shook the global economy. So the Bank of Evil didn't just build from scratch, they bought out a failed bank. 19th. Sci-fi Easter eggs you missed. The Despicable Me movies are full of sci-fi nods, and some of them are pure gold. Remember when El Macho's rooster bursts out of Gru's stomach in Despicable Me 2? That's a shout out to the famous chestburster scene in Alien, but way funnier. Then, in Despicable Me 3, when Gru and Drew are hiding under Brat's bed, look for a dusty VHS tape labeled Aliens. It's a hidden homage to old school sci-fi. The creators sure love their 80s classics, and they've tucked these references into the films for fans to find. 20. Gru's secret stamp on everything. The Minions love all things Gru, and here's a hilarious detail you probably missed. During the ballet recital in Despicable Me, one minion is working the DJ booth. Look closely at his music player, and you'll spot something odd. Gru-Ray Disc. It's a pun on Blu-ray, and it's all Gru's world, custom made just for him. It's a tiny touch, but it's perfect. Gru's brand is everywhere, even in the music at a school recital. 21st. Mel's sneaky loyalty switch. In Despicable Me 3, when Drew takes off in Gru's jet to start his own villainous adventure, guess who's by his side? Mel, the same minion who once led a rebellion in Gru's absence. But here's the twist. If you look closely, Mel's cap says, I love Gru, or it used to. Now, in messy handwriting, Drew replaces Gru's name. It's a small detail, but it shows how quickly a minion's loyalty can change. One minute, it's Gru, the next, it's Drew. All it takes is a marker and a dream. 22. The Vicious Six's hidden tribute. In Minions, The Rise of Gru, one of the villains stands out for a secret that's easy to miss. Jean-Claude, part of the Vicious Six, is a nod to action legend Jean-Claude Van Damme. If you're a fan of 80s and 90s action films, this name instantly clicks. What's even cooler is that Van Damme actually voices the character himself. It's a clever tribute to one of the biggest stars of that era. And just like that, you've discovered a side of the Minions you probably never noticed. But don't stop here. There's a lot more packed into these films than you might expect.